we're targeting 24, but we're not getting anywhere near that. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Last video I was showing you guys how to use TunerPro and some of the changes to make to get your car ready to be tuned. This video I'm going to go through some of the fuel trims that you need to change, and then we're also going to mess with your wastegate duty cycle base table. Sorry about the delay of getting the second video out, but here we are. Let's get her done. You can start with your fuel scaler. And like I was saying, if you're running like 93 octane, 91 octane, you can make this, you know, all 1.1. If you're running E85, you can do 1.6. But I'm running E54, so I have mine scaled out to 1.4 all across, just as a starting point. So then we can actually take the car for a drive, and then we can tune this table. I'm also going to show you what to do if you're not hitting your boost targets, and a few things to look out for when tuning your car. If you find any of these videos useful, please leave a comment. Let me know that you're enjoying them, and I'll continue to make videos like this. Without having the comments, I don't really know if anybody's really enjoying it, so please leave a comment. Let me know what you want to see. Let me know if you have any questions, and don't forget to like and subscribe.
I am not a professional tuner. I am someone who took the time to research and test the changes that I am showing today. There could be different ways to tune these BMWs, and everyone has their preference for how they do it. Do this at your own risk, research, read, and look up things on forums. You could easily mess up your engine when making changes to the tune. This is only a video showing the changes I make to tune my own BMW. It's my car. If I mess it up, it's on me. Do these changes at your own risk. I am not liable for damages that occur to your car.
Hopefully you can see this clearly. We're going to be doing some testing with our short-term fuel trims. Sorry if it's hard to see, it's dark out right now. So the type of logs that you want to do, or type of driving that you want to do, is medium throttle. Don't go over 50% for right now, and you can watch your load. But the short-term fuel trims right here is what you're going to be actually looking at. We're going to be tuning the short-term fuel trims. You want to make sure that you're giving the engine enough fuel, or you're not taking away too much fuel. Start the log, give it just a little bit of throttle input, minor throttle input, and you can see the short-term fuel trims. When I'm giving it a little bit of gas, they're not too far out. You want to do, let's say, 25% throttle at different RPMs, and that's going to help you make your whole table nice and smooth. So we'll do another pull here. Like I said, this is only, you know, 30% throttle. This data is going to be what you use to tune the table. Another method that people do is hit the brakes a little bit, so you can increase your load but not be increasing your speed. And then even at cruising speeds, you can see I'm at -10 short-term fuel trims, so I will need to adjust my cruising speeds also. So let's go back to our computer and make some changes to our tables with the data that we've collected. Right here under the fuel tab, fuel scaler, this is the table that we're going to be changing. We'll look at these numbers here on the left side as the RPMs. The columns are the actual load that the car is making. You can log both of these. The way these cells work is this cell right here will be anywhere from 500 RPMs to 999 RPMs, and from 27 load all the way to 33 load. Once you get above 33, so once you're at 34, moves over to this cell. Like this one goes from 34 all the way to 41. Once you're at 42, goes to this cell, then so on. And then it's the same thing if you're at 42 load or 43 load and you go above 1,000 RPM, so let's say you're at just over 1,000, it'll go over to this cell. And then if you go from 1,000 to 1,499, it'll stay in this cell. Once you get to 1,500, it'll go to this cell. They say that it will smooth the numbers in between the two cells. So if you've got 1.4 and 1.8, it's going to smooth out the numbers going. It won't just jump from 1.4 just to 1.8. It will kind of smooth itself out. So let's go ahead and look at our log and see what we need to change in this table. I've got my short-term fuel trims on here, and I've got my load. You can go through and take off whatever else you don't want to see that's in the way. So we'll start here looking at the RPM. So we're at 1,700 RPMs at 40 load. So it'd be this cell at 1,500 RPMs and above. And we'll move this dial over so that it jumps over to this cell, because you can see it's 44 load and it's still under 2,000 RPMs. Then my fuel trims start to flatten out. Before here they're like -5, -6, so you can adjust that. You can lower your numbers. So at load 37, which would be in this cell, and at 1,600 RPM would be right here, you can take out, let's do half of whatever that percentage is. So if you do scale by -3% in this cell, drops it down a little bit. So we'll keep going. It starts to zero out. Then it starts to add fuel. You can see I'm at 6 right here. So we'll start at this area. These cells right here, we need to add, kind of works its way up a little bit. So we'll add 5. So it's adding 10 right here, and then it goes all the way to adding 20. So this first cell will add 5%, and this one will add 10%. Did that wrong, so you'll just restart this one. So 1.4, scale by 10. There it goes. Make sure you are saving your work, because you mess up one thing, it's hard to go and take it back. So save this, pop it back up. 2,500 RPMs, 33 load would be this table. It is adding more. So let's just take both of these tables. Let's just add 5% to both of them. Then as the load stays at 31, it's still this table. 27. So we still already added that 5% for all of this. Then once we get above 3,000 RPMs, we're at load 37. So that'd be this column. 3,000 would be this cell. But when we get to this cell, it starts really adding a lot of fuel. Let's add 10% here. Let's add 5% here to kind of make them more even. You don't want to have big jumps of numbers. Add another 5% here. Just kind of do it all throughout, just so it's a little bit more even. You can save it and open it back up. So here we're starting at 2,500 RPMs, and this we're at 57 load. So that's still here, 2,500 RPMs. Let's add 5%. We'll do it to here also. Okay, by the time we get to 3,000 RPMs, which that means it drops it down here, multiplied by 10%. We'll check another little poll. This one's 56 load. That would still be this column. 2,500 RPMs and 6 load, and our RPMs are 27. So it'll be this cell. Let's add 10% to that. And a lot of times you can just kind of make it even. Like I would take these and add 5% to that. Let's see what other logs we've got. We're at 2,400 RPMs. at 48 load. So it'll be here, right there, and it's adding 15. So I've already added to this table. Then we can go through and kind of even these numbers out a little bit. So let's add 2.5 here, just to raise these numbers a little bit. And I don't want these to be way off, so we're going to add 2.5% here. Do it again. And do it again. This is going to be just our general cruising numbers here. So you can go ahead and save that. Once you make some changes to the mid throttle and light throttle part of the table, you can go through and do some actual boost pulls. Don't forget to hit start log. Get a few good logs going to higher RPMs. Then again, we will go back to make our tables nice and smooth for our short-term fuel trims. You'll want to do this a couple times just to make sure you're not, pulling -5 like I am right now. You want to be, around 1 plus or minus 1. See, I'm like 18, 19. Gotta fix that table. So let's go ahead and look at a log that I did where I'm actually giving it a lot more gas. So you can see I start off here, let's say 2700 RPMs. That would be this row, and my load is 120, would be this cell right here, but my load changes right away. So let's see where the load gets to and holds. It stays between 155 and 165, so it'll be this column. My RPMs, they start at 33, and I'm adding a tiny bit. We'll add a tiny bit. RPM's already jumped to 37, so now it's at this cell. And I'm adding a little bit more. So we'll do that times 2. I'm already at 4,000, and it's adding even more. Yeah, let's just do that again. Then I jump to 4,500 RPMs, and I'm still adding. Now I'm adding 30. So I want to take some bigger numbers. I want to do by 15% on this one. Then I'm at 5,000, and I'm still adding that much. So we're going to do again by 15%, and that's it for that little pull. Let's see what this one does. Load is right here, 2,700 RPM. So right here, adding about 8. So we can add 4. Let's save it and go back. HP Tuners has a back button, or a undo button. This doesn't. So now I'm at 3,000, and again it's adding 10. So I've already came through and added numbers here. Let's add a little bit more there. Sometimes it's not going to be perfect. I think just making sure your cells are close to each other, and just keep making changes like this, and then let's get these cells a little bit more even. Alright, so I want these to be similar kind of all throughout. So let's copy this, paste this. So my guess is up here it's going to be adding that much fuel. Smooth this out. Save it real quick and then go back into it. So then I would take this table and I would go and drive the car around again and do some more logging. You can do more full RPM, full pulls, and make some small adjustments to this table. It's never going to be exactly perfect, but you can make it real close. If you have anything above 5 or minus -5, I would just add a little bit or take away a little bit in that cell. So now we can move on to adjusting your boost and making sure that you are boosting what you're requesting. Alright, now that we got the short-term fuel trim table good, we can go through and tune our wastegate duty cycle table, the base table. This will be our boost, and that'll be our boost target. So we're going to look to see if we're getting close to our target. So let's go for a test drive. Let's do a couple test pulls and I'll show you how to tune your base tables. Third gear, I should be requesting 24 psi at a little bit higher RPM. Let's see if we're hitting that. I always do my test, I'm at least 2,500 RPMs, closer to 3,000 RPMs. Make sure you set this one to boost target. We're targeting 24, but we're not getting anywhere near that. Again, let's see what it does. Third gear pull, 3,000 RPMs. And let's go back and do some tuning. We can see why we're not hitting our boost targets, and I'll show you exactly why. So first, let's go over the tables that are used to control boost. Go into boost control, wastegate, duty cycle, go to base. You can pull out the adder airflow and the ceiling. These are your three tables that you're going to mostly use to adjust your boost. This is your base table. This is a little bit more precise. This table, the adder, it's just easier to add large amounts of wastegate duty cycle in larger areas. The ceiling here, I was told that this is the maximum amount that the PID system can add to it. Please leave a comment or correct that in the comments if that is not correct. So if you notice these numbers in these cells are a little bit higher, that's because with the bigger turbos you're requesting a higher amount of MAF, so you need to raise these numbers up. Same with these, and then also the same on the base table. To read the base table, your boost in bar, when you're at like maximum boost 22 psi and above, you're going to only be in this cell, but majority of it you're going to kind of come around this area and then be here by the time you're at full boost. If you're at 333 and above, or between 333 and 419, it'll use this column. For your bar, if you're at like 2.26, between 2.26 and 2.39, you'd use these cells, same as the fuel scaler cells. So let's look at a log and make some adjustments. So now let's look at our wastegates and see our boost and see why we're not hitting our targets. So if we look at a log here, we can see the blue line is our boost, the purple line is our actual boost target, and we are not hitting our boost target. So there's a couple things you want to look at. You want to make sure you have the boost set point on the actual log. Then you can come here, you can hit your base, wastegate duty cycle base value, and then you can hit after PID. It should always be adding a little bit of PID, and then your actual wastegate duty cycle bank 1 should be up top. You can leave the base on there and then add the PID so you can see kind of what your computer's doing. Just trying to spool the turbos here. Our boost set point is 2.26, so that would be up here 2.26. So it almost raises right away. So we'll just mess with these first two rows. We can go to our MAF requested 240. So that would be these cells right here. So this column 240 and these two cells. And let's just see where the MAF goes to once we rev up a little higher. So 250, 262, we jump into this column. 314, we're still in this column, jumps into this column, and then it stays right here. Start right here, 244. We already know where the bottom two rows. Let's just do percentages on here. Everyone does it a little bit differently. So let's up this, let's up it all a little bit. $289. We need to bump it up a little bit more because I'm requesting even more boost here. You know, it's missing this much boost. So like I'm targeting 23.4 and I'm only getting 18.8. So you can see right here the difference in the numbers compared to what it was. It was like 10 here. Now it's 11.2, 12.7. This was 18, or this is 18 now. It was 15. So personally, I would go a little bit higher on all of these. Okay, then you can kind of, you know, smooth it out a little bit. You're not really hitting these numbers too much. And then you can take this and do another run and see if that gets your boost closer in line. This actual base table here is good. For instance, you might be tapering down right at the end. So let's say you were tapering down, you might only mess with, you know, these two styles right here. Or you might be over boosting at 333 MAF, so then you can decrease the cells right here. Let's say I wanted to just do the adder. I could say at MAF requested 296, so right about here, all the way to 360 should be these two tables. I could say I need to raise those up a little bit, so I could add 2.5 on those. This one likely needs a little bit more, so I could add 2.5. And that would be just more of a broad raising up the whole table instead of just doing minute stuff. But I always start with the base table first. Alright, so then you can take your car for a test drive and make sure you're getting your boost numbers. So another area that if you're not getting your actual requested boost, you can go over to limits, boost limit multiplier. I set mine to 2.9. You can go through and change this all to 3.0. Save it, and that will make your actual boost closer to what you're requesting. I leave this at 2.9 for my own tables. That way I don't have any type of throttle closure. That way it's, you know, always, the boost is always a little bit lower than it's requesting. So that's one area that you could look at if you're not hitting your boost targets. A couple other real important areas you want to look at is your AFRs. So this is your lambda, bank 1, bank 2. Especially when you're in boost, you know, almost at full boost. This is almost 18 here. You want to make sure as your RPMs are going up, this is at 4,000 RPMs, that your AFR are meeting your targets. So this is like 12.8, they start to go down 12.5, and they're meeting targets. A couple things that would prevent that is your low pressure fuel sensor. This is your low pressure fuel pump. You got to make sure you're staying, I'd say, above 60. I've seen it dip down even lower, but you just want to make sure that there's no super low dips. And then if there's super low dips there, this black squiggly line, that's your high pressure fuel pump. If this gets real low, you know, if it gets below 1,000, you'll see your AFRs get real lean because it's not getting enough fuel. So that's one thing you want to look at on your logs. Make sure you're actually hitting your targets. The Excel sheet in the first video shows a couple examples of different fuel tables or AFR tables. The next thing you want to look at in your logs is timing and timing corrections. You know, a lot of times you will have some timing corrections. Sometimes if you have a major timing correction, this will dip down. So you want to watch out for that. If you do have that, you could be having, you know, fuel starvation. That could cause that. You could have too much timing being requested. Your fuel might not have high enough octane for the amount of boost that you have. The next video I will go over, you know, making sure you're getting your boost, and then we can change the fuel around a little bit, the fuel tables, and then we can adjust the timing tables. In that Excel sheet, there are different examples of different timing tables. That's one where you want to be very careful. You don't want to just make blind changes. You really should only be making timing changes on an actual dyno. That way you can see if you're actually making power gains, because you don't want to just keep bumping up the timing, because then you can have engine failure. But stay tuned for the next video, and we will look more into those changes, and we'll just kind of fine tune a couple different things, with the throttle, you know, kind of make your throttle feel a little more sporty. But other than that, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching. Make sure if you found this video useful, you leave a comment or you like and subscribe. Again, thanks for watching.